forever.
Away from Tigerland, a fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and skin. If we're behind then never mind, we'll fight and win. For we're from Tigerland. We never weep until the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tiger, yellow and black, we're from Tigerland.
The great centre line of Premiership years 67 and 69 of Burke, Barrett and Clay. The greats like Roger Dean and Fred Swift from 67.
Both teams are giving everything as players force themselves to their limits in one of the most exciting grand finals for years. Hafey is a picture of intense concentration as Ganane pulls down one of his better marks and has an easy kick from right in front. But it's not Ganane's day. His kick is off beam for a behind. For the fourth time, scores are levelled. The tension is taking its toll on the Tigers coach. From 35 yards out, Ronaldson's kick goes over the outstretched hands of the pack for a goal at the beginning of the time-on period. Richmond hit the lead 108 points to 102. Tearing in to grab the ball, Bartlett turns and kicks his second goal after 28 minutes. It could be the match winner as the Tigers increase their lead to 11 points, 114 to 103. With victory in sight, Barrett smothers the ball, taking no chances of being beaten by an awkward bounce. Geelong stay in the fight. Farmer passing to Costa as they stage a last-ditch attack. Scarlett just fails to mark in front of goal and loses the ball. Ryan grabs it to snap her behind, and the Cats still have a chance. Although Pianto and the Geelong officials know it's a slim one. Grabbing the ball in a pack, Goggin has a long shot, but it's well marked right on the line by Swift. And Geelong's last chance is gone, as on Swift's clearing kick, the siren signals the end of a memorable match won by Richmond. 16 goals, 18, 114 points, to 15 goals, 15, 105. It's a well-merited triumph for dedicated coach Tom Hafey, who is acclaimed on all sides. So too Fred Swift, who realises his greatest ambition in his 10th season and after 157 games with the Tigers. Sir Kenneth Luke presents the VFL Cup to Fred Swift, captain of the conquering Tigers.
It's not that long since
Hafey's success in the bush saw him lured back to Richmond as senior coach at the age of 34. A fitness fanatic who never smoked or drank alcohol, Hafey trained the Tigers hard. The hard work soon paid off. In 1967, Hafey led Richmond to its first flag in more than 2 decades.
It's a well-merited triumph for dedicated coach Tom Hafey, who is acclaimed on all sides. Overcome with emotion, Hafey experiences the finest moment of his football career.
Using a simple...
Hafey had grown up in Tigerland, played 6 seasons for the Tigers, and came back to the club in '66, replacing that master tactician, Len Smith. The Hafey era was to become Richmond's greatest, yielding 4 flags and starting with a triumph of '67.
In '67, our side went into the finals that year with a team that was completely devoid of finals experience whatsoever.
Like in 1967, there was Roger Dean and Fred Swift that played in, and Michael Patterson that played in the team, but they were the only players from, say, outside the mid-20s years of age, and we went right through those 10 years, and I believe that's one of the reasons why we're successful. We retain the nucleus of the side.
All mates?
All mates, yes, to you have to be mates when you don't get paid anything. I think our final paycheck in 1967 was about $750.
The '67 grand final climaxed Royce Hart's meteoric first season in the VFL. spotted by Tassie recruiter Harry Jenkins. Hart's recruitment fee didn't really extend Graham Richmond's chequebook.
Mum said he can't go across because he hasn't got enough clothes to wear, because I was working as a teller in the Commonwealth Bank. So I wrote back and said Mum wants me to get 6 shirts and a suit, and that's what I went for.
Did you get them?
I got 5 shirts, I still owe me one. Would have appreciated it a bit by now, wouldn't it?
Goggin has a long shot, but it's well marked right on the line by Swift. And Geelong's last chance is gone, as on Swift's clearing kick, the siren signals the end of a memorable match won by Richmond.
The 67 triumph had one bitter disappointment. Skipper Neville Crowe was denied his only grand final by this John Nichols acting performance in the second semi-final.
Poor old Neville Crowe. Neville Crowe, for the benefit of our viewers in New Guinea and our viewers interstate, got 4 weeks.
Mr. Nichols rips a nice little right into my comics zap, to which I've immediately responded, but just an open-handed sort of swipe, which missed him by about 2 or 3 inches, I guess. But like all good actors, he fell to the ground, mortally wounded, and the boundary umpire, who was coming from wherever, put 2 and 2 together and got 5, and I got 4.
Sir Kenneth Luke presents the VFL Cup to Fred Swift, captain of the conquering Tigers. Overcome with emotion, Hafey experiences the finest moment of his football career.
At one stage I played 10 years and we were just an all-Saran club. We're almost ashamed to say you played for Richmond because you thought, well, anybody could play for Richmond. But all of a sudden you win a premiership and you grow an extra leg.
It's Richmond's 7th premiership and their second in 3 years. Skipper Roger Dean is chaired and coach Tom Hafey acclaimed.
Fairest in a premiership team not having trained with your team?
Well, the theories on what was going on there were thrown out the window because there was no special diets, there was no training with your teammates, and it just worked for me.
You might have been right, mate. You might have been a unique player. Which takes us to the book, Royce, the famous book.
The book.
You were commissioned to write a book at the age of 22. You've had four years in the system. There's lots of fact or fiction about you picking yourself in your best ever team. My understanding is you were asked to name a team that you would like to play with.
I'd like to play with, yes, that was right. In actual fact, I remember a headline that Alf Brown, the chief writer for the Herald, had in the book review saying Royce Hart's head's that big, he's not taking marks anymore, he can't get his arms over his head.
You seem to be sort of so matter-of-fact about this. I mean, has this not worried you over the years that people think that Royce Hart's a big head, how could a bloke pick himself in his best ever team? I mean, I know it's a misconception, but that was what most people thought happened, wasn't it?
No, it didn't worry me at all. Because what you said was right, the players who I'd like to play with. Some people took offence, it didn't worry me.
Let's go back to 67. You've played 4 games with the Tigers. You're 19 years of age. You get selected in the 2nd Victorian team to play, I think, to come back here to Tassie.
I know.
Yep. Ron Brassie pulls you out of the number 1 team and you're elevated to play for Victoria after 4 club games against Western Australia at the MCG.
That's right. Played on Colin Beard, who was later to become the fullback for Richmond in the 1969 premiership side. Ended up kicking 7 goals, and I think at the other end, Big Bob Johnson, I think, kicked 6 or 7.
Were you surprised how well you went first up in Melbourne?
I was always confident I'd do okay.
Why? Why?
Well, I had the athletic ability to be able to handle it, and I just thought that it was the next step up, and I'd put in the preparation at the end of between 65 and 67. I did a lot of gym work, and it paid off.
You're famous for the Royce Hart style of marking, which was not jumping over the top of packs, but floating across the front with that big stretch. I mean, does that go back to your high jumping days at school?
Yeah, it goes back to high jump when I was in Tasmania as a kid, and my theory was that if the bigger player went to where the ball was going to go, and I took a run up of about 3 or 4 metres and jumped in front of him, I'd be able to take the mark. You know,